life-giving water. From your heart were born streams of life-giving water, life-giving water. Are you come to me and rest.
Anita, se me fue la luz aquí en la casa.
Ciencia de la Espiritualidad les da la más cordial bienvenida a este encuentro de meditación y conciencia espiritual. Estos programas están diseñados para compartir inspiradoras enseñanzas espirituales y para aprender juntos todos los beneficios que la meditación tiene para ofrecernos. Ciencia de la Espiritualidad es una organización mundial dedicada a transformar vidas por medio de la meditación bajo la guía de San Rajinder Singh Maharaj. Ciencia de la Espiritualidad cuenta con más de 2.800 centros de meditación en más de 50 países alrededor del mundo. El Centro Internacional de Meditación para Occidente está ubicado en Lyle, Illinois. San Rajinder Singh Maharaj, líder de Ciencia de la Espiritualidad, es un maestro espiritual que dedica su vida a viajar por todo el mundo compartiendo la práctica profunda de la meditación en la luz y el sonido internos de Dios. Bienvenidos.
Muy buenas noches para todos. Muchas gracias por atender a este encuentro de meditación y conciencia espiritual. organizado por Ciencia de la Espiritualidad bajo la guía de San Rajinder Singh Ji. Mi nombre es Ana, desde Medellín, y hoy seré el presentador de este programa público. El programa de hoy se titula Todos los tesoros yacen dentro. Tendrá una duración aproximada de 1 hora y durante ese tiempo escucharemos 2 lecturas y veremos 2 segmentos de video de San Rajinder Singh Ji Maharaj. Finalizaremos nuestro programa con una práctica de la meditación de Ciencia de la Espiritualidad. Bienvenidos y aprendamos juntos cómo podemos encontrar la felicidad dentro de nosotros. Dice San Rajinder Singh Ji Maharaj: cuando enfocamos completamente nuestra atención en el tercer ojo, encontramos los reinos internos. Esas son dimensiones internas que existen simultáneamente con nuestro universo físico. Nuestra primera lectura, titulada La meditación portal del alma, el maestro nos dice que los tesoros de nuestra alma permanecen ocultos bajo las cubiertas de la mente, la materia y la ilusión. Nuestra atención está enfocada en el mundo externo en lugar de estar enfocada en el mundo interno. Para hacer esta lectura, quiero invitar a Lilian de Medellín. Adelante, Lilian. Bienvenida.
Buenas noches.
Está cayendo una fuerte lluvia en Medellín. Posiblemente tengamos problemas de comunicación con Lilian. Vamos a tener un poco de paciencia en eso. Como hay
No sé
cuestiones también
eso,
en el fluido eléctrico en Medellín, entonces yo haré la primera lectura del día de hoy. La meditación, portal del alma. La fuente, descubriendo el poder del alma por medio de la meditación, en la página 139 a 142, extracto de San Rajinder Singh. Los tesoros de nuestra alma permanecen ocultos bajo las cubiertas de la mente, la materia y la ilusión. Nuestra atención está enfocada en el mundo externo en vez del mundo interno. Continuamos añadiendo más capas debido a los deseos de nuestra mente que nos hacen caer en la ira, la violencia, la lujuria, la codicia, el apego, la falsedad y el ego. ¿Existe alguna manera de atravesar esos obstáculos para experimentar el alma? ¿Cómo podemos evitar ser arrastrados por el mar de la vida? Afortunadamente, los santos y los místicos en todas las épocas han sido capaces de aventurarse en el reino del alma. De la misma manera que los pioneros exploraron los océanos cuando la gente creía que el mundo era plano y los valientes astronautas se aventuraron por el espacio sideral, han existido exploradores de los mundos internos del alma. Ellos superan grandes obstáculos, la atracción de la mente y los sentidos, para invertir su atención y dirigirla hacia su ser interno. Descubrieron la puerta de entrada, entraron y eliminaron las cubiertas del alma, para que su verdadero ser pudiera brillar en toda su gloria prístina. Aprendieron a organizar sus vidas y a tener tiempo para vivir como almas dotadas de poder. Aprendieron cómo equilibrar sus vidas para desarrollar el aspecto espiritual al mismo tiempo que cumplían con las responsabilidades del mundo. Aprendieron a beber el néctar espiritual interno y a compartir esa rebosante copa con los sedientos. Estos exploradores internos, culturas de todas las religiones y de todas las edades. Sin embargo, descubrieron el mismo camino interno y llegaron al mismo tesoro, pero usaron diferentes terminologías para describir la misma experiencia. Pero ¿dónde están los reinos internos? Cuando enfocamos completamente nuestra atención en el tercer ojo, u ojo único, encontramos los reinos internos. Estas son dimensiones internas que existen simultáneamente con nuestro universo físico. Al carecer de una terminología más precisa, nos referimos a ellas como lo interno y lo externo, regiones superiores o inferiores. Estos reinos son estados de conciencia que no existen en el tiempo y el espacio. Solo nuestro mundo físico puede ser medido en términos de tiempo y espacio. La región física incluye la Tierra, el Sol, los planetas, las galaxias. Existe simultáneamente con las regiones espirituales. Mencionamos el tiempo y el espacio como marcos de referencia porque estas son las medidas que aplicamos a este universo físico. Pero todas estas regiones, desde la física a la espiritual, existen como estados de conciencia. Cuando hablamos de viajar a los reinos internos o superiores, en realidad no estamos viajando a ninguna parte. De hecho, estamos enfocando nuestra atención en un estado de conciencia o percepción diferente. Por ejemplo, recordemos por un momento que cuando estábamos sentados escuchando una conversación y de repente recordamos algo que nos sucedió antes, toda la escena que ocurrió en otro tiempo y en otra parte se repite frente a nuestros ojos. No hemos ido a ninguna parte, pero nuestra ubicación parece haber cambiado en el ojo de nuestra mente. Aunque viajar a una región interna no es igual a soñar despierto o a usar la imaginación, hay un cambio similar en nuestra percepción por medio del cual nos volvemos conscientes de una región interna. El cuerpo físico permanece sentado con los ojos cerrados, pero nuestra alma se vuelve consciente de una región o un lugar diferente. A continuación, veremos entonces el primer video del día de hoy. Es un extracto de San Rajinder Singh Ji Maharaj titulado Participa de los tesoros divinos. El maestro nos dice aquí que al mirar nuestras escrituras y al leerlas y llegar a lo profundo de ellas, allí se habla de los cielos, se habla de regiones de más conciencia que la nuestra. Veamos entonces con atención.
Dear brothers and sisters, as we gather here in this part of the world, we all are looking to be peaceful. We all want to be happy. We want to lead a life which is joyous, in which we are fulfilled. And one wonders, what is it that will truly make us peaceful? We look into our lives and we find that there's strife on a day-to-day basis, whether it's in our family, whether it's in our places of work, whether it's happening as we travel from one place to another. We find that there are difficulties. Things seem to be happening contrary to what we would like them to happen. And so we're faced with situations in which we are not at peace. When we look at life itself, we find for each and every one of us that there is strife. And so how is one to deal with the environment that we find for ourselves? And as we start to look at what we have and what others have, we just seem to feel that maybe something is missing from our lives. To most of us, the grass is always greener on the other side. And we feel maybe others are having things which are better than what we have. Others are leading a life which is more peaceful. And how does one deal with that situation? We've become so accustomed to thinking of ourselves as leading a life which is full of pain, that very rarely are we able to enjoy moments that are calm and peaceful. We all are trying to do more than what seems to be possible. And it just seems like we are always in a situation in which we feel there's much more to do than what we can handle. And as that happens in our life, we find that we're always rushing from one place to another. We're always finding states which bring stress and strain in our existence. Most people would like to find a solution to that situation. Most people, when they look at their lives, consider that maybe wealth would make the life better. We look at other people and we feel maybe they have bigger or better homes, maybe they have better vehicles than us, maybe their clothing is better. And we also feel that if we would have the means to be able to get those objects, maybe our life would be very, very happy. And there's a very interesting story about a family. There was a family in which there was a husband and a wife, and they had a couple of kids. And the family was reasonably poor. They were making their ends meet. They would have food on the table. They were very close-knit because they were helping each other. The means that they had were less, so support would come to them from each other. They also had an extended family of family and friends who were in the same category that they were, who were living in the same neighborhoods. And so as life was going by, this family would feel that there are difficulties for them to deal with. The husband, as he went to work, as we would pass a neighborhood which has $1 million homes, or as he saw people driving fancy cars, or he saw people wearing very good clothes, he would wonder when he's going to get rich, when would he be able to afford that kind of luxuries for his family. And so he always wanted to get rich. But when he would talk to his wife would say, we're very rich already. We have the family support. We have all our friends here. There's a lot of love between ourselves. The children seem to be very, very happy. But the husband said, no. The kids don't have what they should. I can't buy them all the fancy toys. And we need to get more wealth for ourselves. And as this person would always try to find wealth, lo and behold, one day, as he's walking by, he finds this one bottle. And thinks about the genie with the bottle. So he opens the bottle up and genie comes out. But when he looks at the genie, this genie doesn't have a turban, he doesn't have, like rings in his ears. He's like a very clean cut with a, coat and tie and everything. So the person says, are you really a genie? He came out of this bottle. He says, yes, I'm a genie. And he said, how come you're not dressed like a genie? He said, no, I live in the modern ages, If I'm dressed like a genie, then people run away because they say, this person looks like he's, coming from 1,000-year-old generation. But he says, I can grant all the wishes like the old genies. So whatever wish you have, I can grant it to you. So the person says, okay, I'd like to be rich. I would like to have lots of money, millions of dollars. So genie says, is that all you want? He said, that's all I want. He said, are you sure? He says, yeah, I'm sure. He says, you don't want anything else, all you want is money. He says, yeah, I want millions of dollars, because when I have the money, I'm going to be very happy. So the genie says, okay, your wish is granted, and the genie flies away. And so as this person is walking, he goes a few steps, a person walks by. And he says, I hear you want to make a lot of money. And he says, yes, I want to make a lot of money. He says, okay, come with me. So he takes him to a building and takes him to a dark room and gives him a small black box and says, I want you to deliver this to such and such address. And when you deliver it, the person will give you a bag full of many millions of dollars. You bring it back to me, and I'll keep half and you keep half of it. And so this person who's looking to be rich, he says, is that all I have to do? And he said, that's all you have to do. Just deliver it there, bring the money, you keep half of it. And he thinks this is very easy, so he goes there, he takes this black box, he goes to the address, he delivers the package, the person gives him many millions of dollars, comes back, and so he's got now half of that money, he's got many millions of dollars. He comes over, he's very rich, he runs to his wife, he says, I got very rich, I have a lot of money. And she said, what did you do to make that much money? He said, I just delivered a box. And she said, what was in the box? He said, I don't know. He said, how, you didn't find it? He said, no, I don't care to find out. I made the money. And I have the money with me. And she said, we should be careful. How can someone give you so much money for just one box? He says, I don't care, here's the money. So he runs out, he buys a fancy car, he goes buys a fancy house in a fancy neighborhood. And they move in, he takes his kids and his wife out, they buy toys and fancy things, and they're getting settled in the new house. Since the fancy house is in a gated community, all the fancy houses have gates. And so he's living there, and so they say, let's invite our friends. So they spruce up the house and make it nice and fancy, and they cook all kinds of meal, and they get a phone call from the gate, and the guard says, there's a number of people are here, they're very shabbily dressed, and they're saying they want to come visit you. And he says, yeah, they're my friends, let them in. And the guard says, I can't let them in. He says, why? He says, I think these guys are here to rob you. They robbed the other people in the neighborhood. And the person says, no, they're my relatives and friends, but unfortunately, as the story is told, these are made-up stories anyway. You know how it is, you have to make a point. So they're not let in. I don't think any gated community do that, but that's the way it is in this story. So they're not let in. And so this person is getting upset. He goes out and he tries to talk to them, but all his friends are upset that they can't even go in. And so a few days later, he goes to visit them. And he goes with his family, and his kids are all dressed up nicely. So when the other kids meet them, they got all this fancy new, sneakers or whatever they call these days. Good shoes, the Nikes and all the other good stuff. And they've got very good things going on with them. And as they are there, all the other kids are saying, maybe we can borrow this from you or this from you. And the parents tell the kids, make sure you don't make these things dirty. So the kids can't even go out and play with other kids because they're very afraid. In the other neighborhood, if people are playing basketball, there's dirt here, there's other things here. And slowly, what is happening is that this family is getting aloof and is getting by itself. And the happiness that they got from being with others is going away. And as time goes by, the person starts to be approached by his friends and his relatives for money. Someone says, I got the sickness, but I don't have any insurance. Can you take care of it? You got millions of dollars. Another person says, my car had this problem. Can you fix it? And so slowly, he's running into trouble. And he's worried because he's finding that things are not as they seem to be. And so one day, he's in so much pain that he wants to give it all away, but he doesn't know what to do. And so he starts to go back to the neighborhood. And he has a very difficult time to make the adjustment back when he gets back there. And this is what happens to many, many people all around the globe. We all think that money will make us happy. But when we have money, we realize it's not money that makes us happy. It's happiness doesn't come with money or wealth. Happiness comes by being fulfilled in what we have.
En la siguiente lectura, titulada El tesoro que yace internamente, San Rajinder Singh nos explica que pensamos que la felicidad está por fuera de nosotros. Pensamos que yace en las riquezas, en el nombre, en la fama, en las posesiones, en las relaciones. Pero la verdadera felicidad yace dentro de nosotros mismos. Voy a realizar la lectura en tanto que Lilian no pudo continuar con ella debido a problemas técnicos. La lectura es de la fuente del libro Perlas Espirituales para una Vida Iluminada, página 79 a 81 por San Rajinder Singh. Dice San Rajinder Singh: había una vez un campesino que vivía en una aldea. Era un hombre pobre. Trataba de ganarse la vida con la agricultura, pero no podía ganar lo suficiente para tener una casa bonita, buenas propiedades y ropa fina. Se veía tan andrajoso que algunas de las personas en su vecindario se burlaban de él. Sin embargo, el hombre estaba contento con lo que tenía. Era un gran amante de Dios y pasaba su tiempo libre en la oración y la meditación al Señor. Algunos de sus amigos le aconsejaban que hiciera algo de él, en lugar de desperdiciar su tiempo en la oración de Dios. El hombre era feliz con su vida, pero ellos siguieron insistiéndole tanto para que hiciera algo por su situación que terminaron sembrando una semilla de duda en su mente. Comenzó a pensar que era posible que pudiera ser feliz si fuera más rico. Una noche, el campesino tuvo un sueño. Soñó que un ser divino le decía que fuera a la ciudad y allí encontraría un enorme tesoro. Cuando el campesino despertó y al haber sido influenciado por sus amigos para ir en busca de riquezas, decidió ponerle atención al sueño y emprendió el viaje a la ciudad. Él nunca había viajado a la ciudad y no estaba familiarizado con sus leyes. Un jefe de policía lo encontró vagando por los alrededores y lo detuvo. Lo llevó a la estación de policía. El jefe de policía le preguntó: ¿qué haces vagabundeando día y noche? El campesino explicó: estoy buscando un tesoro. Tuve un sueño y en este me dijeron que encontraría un gran tesoro aquí. El jefe de policía le dijo: eres un tonto. Yo he tenido muchos sueños acerca de encontrar un tesoro. Esos son solo sueños. Yo los ignoro todos, son inútiles. Por ejemplo, en una ocasión soñé que debería ir a una cabaña pobre que estaba en un pueblo fuera de la ciudad. La cabaña tenía un arroyo que pasaba junto a ella. Había una granja cerca, pero la cabaña era pobre. Me dijeron en el sueño que allí había un gran tesoro, pero nunca fui porque los sueños no son reales. Mientras el jefe de policía describía la cabaña, el campesino tuvo una conmoción. La cabaña que estaba describiendo sonaba exactamente como la suya. El jefe de policía lo envió de vuelta a su pueblo. El hombre estaba rebosante de alegría con la posibilidad de que el tesoro que estaba buscando pudiera estar justo en el jardín de su casa. El campesino fue al punto descrito por el jefe de policía y comenzó a excavar. Efectivamente, descubrió un cofre de tesoro inmenso, lleno de suficientes riquezas para hacerlo un hombre rico. Estaba sorprendido de que en su propia cabaña estuviera escondido un tesoro todo ese tiempo. Esta historia describe nuestra condición. Estamos buscando la felicidad y el amor por todo el mundo. No nos damos cuenta de que la verdadera riqueza, la verdadera felicidad y el verdadero amor nos están esperando dentro de nosotros mismos. Pensamos que la felicidad está por fuera de nosotros. Pensamos que yacen las riquezas, en el nombre, en la fama, en las posesiones, en las relaciones. Pero la verdadera felicidad yace dentro de nosotros mismos. Dios yace dentro de nosotros. El amor de Dios está en nuestro interior. No existe nada en el mundo exterior que se pueda comparar con esto. En lugar de buscar el tesoro verdadero fuera de nosotros, debemos sentarnos en meditación para descubrir la verdadera riqueza interna. Entonces encontraremos que nuestras vidas se llenarán de amor y de felicidad y de bienaventuranza, así como de paz y felicidad eternas. Hasta aquí esta segunda lectura del día de hoy. A continuación, vamos a ver la segunda parte del extracto de video titulado Participa en los tesoros divinos. El maestro nos enseña que existen alegrías y estados que podemos alcanzar, los cuales permanecerán con nosotros por mucho tiempo. San Rajinder Singh nos dice que esos estados no están arriba en el cielo, están dentro de nosotros. Veamos con atención.
It's not that all the people who are rich are happy and all the people who are poor are happy. It's who's fulfilled with whatever they have. And that fulfillment doesn't come from any objects of the world outside. We're all focused on the objects outside because we see through our eyes, a sense of sight. We operate through a sense of hearing. We operate through a sense of smell, a sense of taste, and a sense of touch. And as we are interacting with these physical senses, what is happening is that everything that is coming from this physical world seems very, very important to us. But there's much more happiness in sharing. There's much more happiness in enjoying each other's company. There's much more happiness in helping someone else. And as we start to lead a life in which we recognize these characteristics, we'll find that we would be peaceful. Most of us are unhappy with our situations. And most people at work feel that it's very difficult to work there because the bosses are not good and the environment not good and the people in the company don't care about the workforce. That's what the feeling is, till you lose your job. And then you realize how difficult life is. Many times we feel our relationships are not that good in the families, till we need their help, because when we're alone, we know that is the source from where we get help. And so we as human beings find our environment to be difficult till something else, which is worse, happens to us. There's this very interesting story out of Russian tales. There was a farmer, and he lived on a farmhouse with his wife and a couple of kids. And unfortunately, the times were where there was a depression. So the farmer's father, who was living in another town, lost his job. So his father and mother moved in with him. Now they had a small house where they had, a couple of bedrooms, and all of a sudden, when the parents came in, they gave the parents, as used to be in the old days, they gave them their bedroom. So they moved to the kids, and kids came into the living room. And things got a little difficult. So the lady of the house started to feel that things are getting difficult, because now she had two more, people to feed, and the money that he was making was enough, so life was difficult for her. So she goes to a wise man in the community for help, and she asks him, she says, life is getting difficult. I have my in-laws here and my two kids, and my husband is on a fixed income, can't make any more money, and I don't know how to make my ends meet. So he asked her, you live on the farm? She said, yeah, I live on the farm. He says, what all do you have on the farm? So she says, I got, many hens there. We have many goats there, we have many cows there. She said, okay, I would suggest that you bring in about 10 hens into your living room. So she said, how are these going to help? She thinks so herself, but she said, this is a wise old man, he must know what he's talking about. So she goes home, brings 10 hens into the living room. Now, as they're eating the food on the dining table, one hen is flying like this, one flying like this, they're shedding feathers, and there are difficulties. So a week goes by, because this wise man is only available on 1 day a week. So she goes back. She says, what kind of advice did he give me? My life is more miserable. He said, no, don't worry, my daughter. Things are going to be well for you. He says, I suggest you take in 2 goats into the living room. So she thinks, I don't know if he's saying the right thing, but maybe he knows what he's talking about. Maybe I'm not getting the message. So she goes home, she takes the 2 goats into her living room, and now she's got the 10 hens flying here and there, and she's got these goats, and they're like going right in the area, they're creating all kinds of mess. And so another week goes by, and she says, I'm going to tell this wise man, he's crazy. She says, you must be crazy. I am so miserable, I've never been this miserable in my life. He said, no, your miseries are all going to end. She says, how? She says, take 1 cow into the living room. She said, I must be crazy to come to this guy. But she says, okay, let me try 1 more week. So she goes back and she puts the cow in there. And here, you got the hen flying and the goats going, and the cow, as it turns, is hitting someone or something, and life becomes more miserable. So after the 3rd week, she goes back. And she says, I can't believe why I'm coming back to you for advice. Because you made my life miserable. And she said, I'm never going to come back. I just came to tell you that. I'd never liked your advice. He said, no, you have to take my advice 1 more time. She said, no, I'm never going to take advice. He said, no, please, take my advice. Listen, I'm a wise old man. I give good advice. You try this. If you don't like this, come back next week and we'll talk. She says, okay, what's the right? He says, take the cow out, take the goat out, take the hens out, and put them outside. So she goes home, and she takes the cow out, and she takes the goats out, and takes the hens out. And things are very calm and quiet, and things look very good to her. She comes back next week. She said, you're a magician. Your advice was so good. So many a times we don't appreciate what we have. We always think that things with us are very, very bad till something worse happens. And it is only when worse things are happening in our life that we realize how good things were. So saints and mystics are telling us that each and every one of us is under the care of the Lord. This is God's creation. This is not our creation. God created the universes. God brought all creation into being. All the scriptures tell us the same thing. Like in the Holy Bible, it said, in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. In the 6 scriptures, Kabir Sahib says, Awwal Allah, Noor upaya, Kudrat ke sab bande, Ek Noor te sab jag upja, Kaun bhale kaun mande, which means like in the beginning was God, and from God came this creative power, which Kabir Sahib called Noor. It can be called the Holy Word. It's also called the Shabd or the Naam or the creative force or the light and sound of God or the music of the spheres. These are names used in various languages to explain what the creative force is, what brought creation into being. And Kabir Sahib is saying that creative force came from the Creator, from God, and brought all creation into being. And he says, who are we to say that this is high and this is low and this is right and this is wrong? Because if everything is created by God, then everything is good and correct for us. It is our vision which makes us take things in which we have filtered things based on what our own perceptions are. And so the vision of the saints says that everything that is happening to us is for our highest good. That is difficult for us to understand, because we just think things could be better. We just feel maybe we did this, this, and this, that this will happen. Many times we forget that this is God's creation, this is God's play. And just like in a movie, actors and actresses, they get roles and they play it out. They might have one role in one movie, another role in another movie, a third role in third movie. That similarly, this life that we are passing through is a role that we have. Our true existence is not at the level of the body. If we take our existence to be at the level of a body, then we take the body to be our true self, and everything that happens to our body as being real. In the East, it's called sankalp and vikalp, which means like thinking of the body as our own is the first illusionary thing that happens to us. And whatever happens with our body, when we take it to be real, is the second difficulty that we face. That we should realize that we're not the body, but we are the force behind the body. And that force is what is called soul.
Nuestro tema de hoy ha sido Todos los tesoros yacen dentro. Recordemos el mensaje del maestro. En lugar de buscar el verdadero tesoro fuera de nosotros, debemos sentarnos en meditación para descubrir la verdadera riqueza interna. Dios yace dentro de nosotros y el amor de Dios está en nuestro interior. Muchas gracias por participar en este programa de Ciencia de la Espiritualidad. Nos sentimos muy felices de compartir este espacio con todos ustedes y de poder aprender juntos estas profundas enseñanzas que se enfocan en nuestro bienestar espiritual, el cual se refleja en el bienestar de nuestra vida diaria. Los esperamos a todos de nuevo en las próximas transmisiones que se harán todos los jueves de 8 a 9 p.m. y los domingos a las 7 de la noche. El domingo próximo retomaremos el tema de hoy. Así que los animamos para que inviten a sus amigos, a sus familiares y compartan este link de YouTube. El tema de la próxima semana será Ilumina la lámpara de tu corazón. Queremos recordarles a todos ustedes que si quieren adquirir nueva literatura de nuestros maestros, lo pueden hacer a través del link que está en el chat de esta transmisión. Ahora los invitamos a practicar la meditación de Ciencia de la Espiritualidad. Para familiarizarnos con la técnica de la meditación, veremos un video corto con las instrucciones. Nos dará las instrucciones Sanrajinder Singh Ji. Una vez terminemos el video, finalizaremos nuestra transmisión para que todos ustedes tengan tiempo de meditar lo que deseen en sus casas. Así que los invitamos a disfrutar de la meditación todo el tiempo que deseen. Muchas gracias por compartir con nosotros. Esperamos verlos de nuevo en nuestras próximas transmisiones. Feliz fin de semana y feliz meditación.
Please sit as comfortably as you can. Please close your eyes very gently, just like you close them when you go to sleep. Your eyeballs should be straight, focus 8 or 10 inches in front of you. And as you close your eyes, those of you who have been initiated in the mysteries of the beyond, please do a Simran. And those of you who are new here, please repeat any name of God that you feel comfortable with. This repetition of God's name should be done mentally and not out loud. In the darkness, you start to experience light. It could be flashes of light, circles of light, lights of various colors. And as you focus in the middle of what you experience, you'll find that these lights are stabilizing and you'll be able to go beyond the lights to a sky full of stars. If you get there, focus in the middle of the biggest of the brightest star. You cross that and get to the inner moon. And as you lovingly gaze in the moon, you'll be able to go beyond that too and experience the inner sun. And as we focus right in the sun, we can experience the radiant or the ethereal form of a master. That's the form from which light is being emitted. And when you get there, please focus in the eyes of the master, and then whatever is right for us, that's the journey we'll be going on. So I pray to God Almighty and to the three great masters of the past century, Hazur Baba Sawan Singh Ji Maharaj, Param Sant Kripal Singh Ji Maharaj, and the gracious Master Sandarshan Singh Ji Maharaj, to help each and every one of us here connect with the divine power within and to experience the divine light of God within ourselves. I will be sitting for a few minutes and I'll be getting you out of this meditative state at that time. And my best wishes are with each and every one of you.